Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently holding for further traffic clearance.
Check out Kristen's new website, magicaljourneysvacations.com, for all your vacation needs. Disney, Universal, cruise lines, and more.
Thank you for traveling with us.
magicaljourneysvacations.com. Have her book your magical vacation today.
WDW After Dark. Now loading.
WDW After Dark. WDW After Dark. Live and uncensored. Starring Jeff Davis, Aljon, Kristen Hetzel, and Eric Allen. WDW After Dark is live and uncensored. Call the hotline at 410-98-WDW-AD. Follow us on Facebook at WDW After Dark Webcast and Twitter at WDW After Dark. Headline news: Disney food, video games, Marvel and Star Wars. WDW After Dark. Live and uncensored. And now prepare yourself for WDW After Dark.
WDW After Dark presents Disney Discussion, a roundtable panel.
Top 5 Disney discussion segment.
Yes, we do. We have this time around. One of the things that I know that Jeff and I have discussed, and you and I have discussed, and we've discussed this a lot on Mighty Marvel Geeks. One of the strengths of Marvel Studios and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is their ability to cast people who are seemingly perfect for the role. Like, for instance, can you imagine anybody other than Robert Downey Jr. playing the role of Tony Stark? Or Chris Hemsworth as Thor, or what's your name? Haley Atwell. There we go.
Haley Atwell, yes.
Dude, I am so embarrassed I couldn't remember her name.
Oh, that's
Haley
right.
Atwell as Peggy Carter. Well, I started thinking, that's really been one of the strengths of Disney and Pixar over the years. Only we don't necessarily think of the same thing think of them in the same way when they cast the voice talent. But really, you think about a movie, a Disney movie, or even a TV show or an attraction, and what's one of the main things that stand out in your mind? One of the things that easily come to mind is the voices. So tonight's top 5 is our top 5 favorite Disney/Pixar voice casting decisions. And this is not just saying our top 5 favorite voice actors, because we know, there's some people like Jim Cummings. I mean, he's played half of the current Disney inventory of characters at one point in time. But this is like specific decisions. Like, I'm just going to throw one out there. I don't know if anybody else has got this on their list, like casting Larry the Cable Guy as Mater in Cars, or casting Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear, especially in light of the fact they originally wanted Billy Crystal, but he turned him down. That's what I'm talking about, the specific job for that particular actor.
Are we going to do like a bonus at the end?
If you want to do an honorable mention, we can do it.
Called.
We could definitely do it.
Okay, because I had a lot of difficulty with this because I could have just kept going and going with.
I could have as well.
So I have one that I just had to not put on my list.
Okay.
But was good.
Okay.
All right. Well, we've got a few, and these are voice casting decisions. So,
and not just limited to movies. This is also, we're also talking about movies. We're talking about TV shows, attractions, parks. If you think one of the best choices was the guy whose voice sound on the monorail, go for it.
I like it. Well, who shall go first? I'm happy to go first if you'd like.
That sounds like a volunteering to me.
Yes. So number 5, and really these are no particular order, but if I were to choose maybe number 5, I'm going to go with the voice casting of your ghost host. And anytime I think of Disneyland or Walt Disney World and Magic Kingdom, I think about the Haunted Mansion. Love the Haunted Mansion, and that voice is iconic. I'm talking about Paul Frees.
Yes, you are.
And that low registered voice, that delivery, so methodical, so sinister, but yet playful in certain aspects. It's definitely a voice that's foreboding, if you will. So we love the ghost host. I know you all love the ghost host, and Paul Frees is the man. Now, Haunted Mansion Holiday is Corey Burton.
Corey Burton? Okay.
Corey Burton actually did that. And Tochiro Hori did the voice at Tokyo Disneyland, which is also very good. If you bought the attraction soundtrack at the parks, and we played it on Sorcerer Radio, our sister programs before, and I like Tochiro Hori, very great. But once again, Paul Frees, prolific and one of my favorite voices of the park.
I have tried to do a Paul Frees voice for Ghost. I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
Oh man. Yeah, a lot of people tried, but there's only one, and that's Paul Frees, the legend. Yeah. Who's next? Anyone? Any volunteers?
I'll go next because mine's exactly the same. That was also on my list.
Oh, Paul Frees? Okay. Nice. Very good. Anyone else have Paul Frees on their list?
Okay. I'll throw it in there because I have him in there, but not just for it. It's almost like I couldn't split my rope, but because y'all said ghost host, I'm going same guy, Paul Frees, but Ludwig von Drake.
Ooh,
that's right.
Nice.
Because you have the same set of pipes that did, is this haunted room actually stretching? And here, you're doing the Spectrum song, just complete opposite end of the spectrum, pun intended. But just, you couldn't picture anybody else in doing a voice for that character. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of it was ad-libbed.
Yes, totally. Dig it, man. Good call.
All right, Jeff.
Number 5 for me is she's got a very pure voice, and there's been a lot of female voiceover artists of Disney films and so much more, but this one to me always really stuck because of how pure it is. And she swam through the sea. She had a voice of gold. Ariel from The Little Mermaid is, next to Angela Lansbury, one of my favorite female voices when it comes to a Disney film.
And what is Ariel's name?
Jodi
Benson. Yeah.
Jeff left that part out. That bit. If you're listening to this, you might not know that it's Jodi Benson.
I thought I said that.
Oh yeah, and former Disney cast member, mind you. And by the way, she's 55. Sorry, Jodi, I'm calling you out. She's 55. She still sounds like a teenager. It's amazing.
Yeah, she's the voice is just so pure, People talk about Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, and to me, she just has a lot more about the notes. It's It'll put chills all over your body, literally, when she sings. Even years after, when she has done it and sang these original Disney songs, it's just truly amazing. So I love her.
Angelic, I think, is a good term for her voice. She's got
That's
a
very
That's a good word to use. Yeah,
very, very
definitely.
good. Great. All right, so here we are. Number 4. Good job, Jeff. I like that one. When we're looking at voice casting decisions, I look at, trained voice actors. I look at, actors that are in films and TV, and I think to myself, there is a combination and a crossover for both. But this particular voice casting decision, I think, really was made brilliantly. I don't know how it came about, really. All I can tell you is that it's magical. And since 1995, they have literally played the same buddies over and over again. I am talking about the buddies of Toy Story. We're Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, the modern day odd couple. And I love this pairing. When you talk about casting, I don't think you could have picked a better voice for Woody and Tom Hanks. I don't think you could have picked a better personality in Tim Allen, and to have both of them great screen and TV actors on their own merit to join up with such an amazing cast. I mean, the cast of characters in Toy Story as a whole is an amazing casting ensemble to begin with, but really the two of them is really magic. It's that buddy movie, starting off as adversaries in their voices, and then all of a sudden come together as best friends. That is what I think everybody wants. Everybody wants to feel that friendship, and it's definitely something that came through in their voices in Toy Story and still is strong today. So that is my number 4 casting voice decision. Next,
I'm going to have to go with Mark Silverman for Tower of Terror, because he sounds just like Rod Sterling. And for the longest time, I seriously thought it was Rod Sterling. Not that it was actually, he had recorded those lines, but what they had done was like cut and pasted audio and made it sound smooth that he was saying all that. I mean, because think how much stuff they have to choose from, when it comes to audio for him. Mm-hmm. So that's what I thought Disney had done with that. And then, of course, a few years ago, I find out, no, it is Mark Silverman. And I'm like, okay, this guy sounds exactly like him. You could easily confuse the two for being the same voice. And that, for me, that's not easy to do. I can distinguish slight differences in voices. Like with Star Wars, the Clone Wars. I remember a lot of people saying that, I just drew a blank on his name, sounded, and I can think what he looks like. He sounded just like
James Arnold Taylor?
No. The guy who does Yoda. Aljon, what's his name?
Oh, now you got me. I've
got a picture of him in my head. That's the worst part. I was like,
it's not Frank Oz. It is, hang on.
But everybody thought, they're like, oh, he sounds just like Frank Oz. It sounds
Tom
just
Kane.
like him.
Yeah, Tom Kane. Yes.
Yes. And I was like, no, I can hear the difference. Like, I can tell that's not him.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was like you. I thought it was Rod Sterling. You know how we copy and do all the voice manipulation and voiceover. We do that with the podcast all the time. And then all of a sudden, oh, this is a voice actor.
Well, I mean, there's so much. It's so easy for them to do those things too, to alter voices to sound like somebody else. I mean, like when what was that singer's name? Aaliyah, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when she died and they were doing that movie, they had to use her brother's voice and manipulate it to sound like her, because not all the audio is complete for it.
Yeah, it's like when Sorcy did the female version of Beverly. the wife voice, and it's like, hey, so did your wife do that? Because I asked him years ago. I said, who does the ranting wife at the end? He goes, that's me.
I
We were
didn't know
talking
that.
about that in the
Oh, you
chat
didn't know that?
recently, and I just said, all I'm going to tell you is it is not a female that's doing that voice.
Yeah, it's actually him. It's him doing it.
I
didn't
didn't know
tell him
that
who
for the
it
longest
was.
time.
Oh no, you know it now.
Yeah.
Way to go, Kristen.
All right. My number 4 is okay. I'm going to just preface this by saying I could listen to this individual read from the dictionary and love the voice. If you go back to Tomorrowland of Days Gone By, in the extraterrestrial alien encounter, your first stop on the line is a demonstration of teleportation technology conducted by a robot called Simulated Intelligence Robotics, also known as SIR, voiced by one Tim Curry.
Oh, yes.
That is the perfect combination of class, fun, and evil. And it just it's Tim Curry, and of course he's done other Disney stuff as well as like Cardinal Richelieu and the Three Musketeers, but that right there, the Sir monologue, that little briefing room introduction was really one of the main reasons that I kept going back to ride that.
Man, yeah. Oh, I missed that part of that attraction.
Is it Skippy? Is that the name of
Yes.
the other?
Yes.
I loved that character. That was the best. That was just awesome.
Shut up, Scruffy. You're not burned. You just have that healthy glow.
Jeff?
Eric mentioned it earlier. Jim Cummings. How many characters can we really rattle off when it comes to this guy? I mean, it's
Don't
absolutely
ask
crazy.
me. I'll start.
Seriously, it's the list is that long.
Okay.
Winnie the
Which
Pooh
one?
is hands down the best in my mind, and
Cheshire
it connects
Cat.
with so many kids. No. Wow, Winnie the Pooh. No,
Cheshire.
He's the one that does it now. It was Sterling Holloway that did it originally. But I was thinking you'd go with like Darkwing Duck or somebody for him.
No, Pooh Bear.
Okay.
And he
All right.
just he well with that character and does such a good job. Does such a good job. So impressive. So
I agree.
I threw him in there.
I agree.
I like it.
Jim Cummings need to be on this list somewhere.
I'm glad
And
you
there he
included him.
is.
There's so many. Definitely so many. I'm gonna go back. It's my turn, right? Number 3.
This is number 3. Yes.
Yep.
Number 3. We talked about Toy Story, but I'd be remiss if I didn't go for yet another great Pixar buddy film. And I'm talking about Monsters, Inc. When I look at those two characters of Mike Wazowski and Sullivan, I look at them and I go, you know what? Yes, I believe those voices. I believe in those actors. And when you look at John Goodman and how hearty he has a laugh and how working class, just like I am a hard working man. I go to the factory every day.
He has a very blue collar voice.
You said it, Eric. That is exactly why I teed it up for you, because that's it. There's something earnest about his voice, and there's something so funny about Billy Crystal. And I've been a fan, much like you, Eric. We've all grown up with Billy Crystal, whether it be Comic Relief or the show Soap, or just watching him when Harry Met Sally and the list of films that he's been in. He is so freaking hilarious, and those lines were ad lib. A lot of those lines.
Oh yeah,
in there. And so when I look at a quintessential buddy movie, and I tell you, these animated buddy movies even surpass some live action buddy movies that people are very fond of. So when I think of duos, you think of Woody and Buzz, you have to think of Sully and Wazowski, and I think that was a brilliant stroke on Pixar's part to get those two actors together to voice those characters.
I have a request for Pixar. Can we do a buddy girl movie? Why? The buddies are always boys. There's very few pairings of girls, like a period. And for anybody who goes, oh, but you have Anna and Elsa, they're sisters.
Yeah, it's not
Inside
a
Out.
movie.
It's not the same.
Inside Out. That's a
Inside Out.
really good one right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yes, more of that. We could do more of that, and it doesn't have to be
More of
Hot
that.
Pursuit either. You know, just so you know, if you watch
got-
Hot Pursuit.
I mean, to try and pick two girls and them to be characters that you can go buy merchandise. You know, if you're two guys and you're best friends, you could go with Chip and Dale. You can go with, you know, Mickey and Goofy. You've got Buzz and Woody, Mike and Sully. Girls, who do we have?
I tell you, anytime you bring Daisy and Minnie into a room,
That's
there's
it.
always adversarial relationship going on there.
But that's the closest you've got. And other than that, you have to really start like digging into the movies then and really thinking about it. And the only other pairing you have is Tiana and Charlotte. And you can say that to people that have seen that movie a few times and they're like, who's Charlotte? Her best friend. She has a best friend in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yes.
can see that one.
That's it. But there's nothing with them together. You don't have that kind of like merchandising and promoting of things as a buddy team like you do with so many. Even Cars, you've got Tow Mater and Lightning McQueen. Yeah, buddies, guy buddies. Us girls are lacking on this.
Awesome.
Okay.
I
So is
guess
that
I
your
would
number
pick
3
mine
choice, or is this?
I've spent a lot of time thinking about this.
Lord have mercy.
So let's see, my number 3. This is where it's getting. I'm having difficulty.
You're gonna have Jeff pass out, Kristen, waiting in anticipation.
I am gonna go with Sam Witwer as Darth Maul and Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
He's really good at those. I mean, if you hear him talk and then you hear him do that, you wouldn't think they were the same person. It's such a different voice from what you hear him do usually on TV, whether it be Being Human or Once Upon a Time, any of those kinds of shows.
Yeah, Sam Witwer's a good dude.
It's very creepy. Very creepy. I mean, just almost.
Yeah, you're right, Jeff. You talk about sinking your teeth into a role. Sam Witwer can do that for sure.
Okay. My number 3, and this is a movie that I'm pretty sure, if I were to hazard a guess, is on most of y'all's lists as well. But I'm not going to go to the obvious choice. No, I'm going to the movie Aladdin, but Gilbert Godfrey as Iago.
Oh man.
I am going to,
Jeez.
because yes, you hear Robin Williams, and I intentionally stayed away from him because he's a very popular choice. But if you look past it, if you want a villain's annoying sidekick, that's a parrot.
What better voice than
There is no better voice. I mean, that all he has to do is open his beak, and you already know you're not rooting for this guy. Perfect villain henchman voice.
I agree.
You know what? Years did I ever think that a guy I used to hear on late night TV on the USA Network called Up All Night with Gilbert Godfrey.
Yes.
Did I ever imagine that he would end up as popular of a Disney character and voiceover artist that he is, and all the stuff that he has done? Because that show is deeply embedded into my head in my childhood.
Oh yes, it is. All night. Yeah, you were. Oh, that's good times. That's why we're WDW After Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I
man.
like it. I like where you're going with
Jeez.
that. All right. Next up, Elvira.
All right, Jeff.
My number 3 is somebody that you will pretty regularly see at any big Disney event. Destination D, D23. Anytime this person has a panel, it is a packed house, and they all want her to do one thing, and they want her to speak some lines, and that would be Pat Carroll, Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Oh, yes.
To hear Pat Carroll even just sit on stage, read any story whatsoever, or just hear her read lines, even as far back as the latest D23 Expo that we had.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a more defining type of witchy, evil, vindictive type of voice that Pat Carroll has when it came to that character. And she changed the game when it came to voicing a villain. She changed the game 100%, especially for females.
So
when
here's
it came to voiceovers,
I love that choice, Jeff. And let me ask you this: do you feel that Ursula is really a villain? Because I
think she was wronged in a way. She was wronged as far as the storyline goes, but I do consider her a Disney villain. Yes, yeah.
A lot of people do. I think she's an opportunist.
Oh yeah,
She's
most definitely.
definitely
Yeah,
evil.
she's an
So
opportunist.
is
No doubt about
Captain
that.
Hook. I mean,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I don't find them completely evil. They took advantage, and now I guess they did take advantage of that's usually Disney stories there for you. They're usually stories of where people are naive and you learn lessons the hard way, and you learn lessons the hard way by being taken advantage of and learning your lesson, your hard knocks lesson. That's what Ariel learned. She learned a really horrible way to learn your lesson, but I tell you, man, Ursula is the bad guy you love to hate, right? Because she's awesome.
Awesome. She is.
Just like Captain Hook. Captain
That-
Hook's the same way. So I mean, you feel the same way.
That she has. You talk about how you have that specific type of laugh, especially when like the Haunted Mansion, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
People just you cannot duplicate it. And when Pat Carroll laughs, even at the age that she is now, she still just has that knack. It's hard to put into words the sound that she makes when she laughs.
It's gleefully evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she as you can tell from my very first one, Jodi Benson being number 5, Pat Carroll number 3. I'm a big fan of The Little Mermaid.
Amen.
Huge fan of it.
You should have
I
just
know
put it together
every
like Aljon
word.
did with like Buzz and Woody and Mike and Solly.
Yeah, but those were buddies. These are definitely not buddies.
These are
You
not
could
these are in every way, shape, and form.
Mine are like the side, two sides of the same coin. Jeff has got and I get that.
Aljon's got Roger and Ebert, Simon and Garfunkel, and
Exactly.
I've got the other types. It's just that movie though. It's just I know every word to that movie, and those two, they make that movie. I mean, yes, Sebastian's great; he's wonderful, does a great job, but Ursula and Ariel, they top. So,
And I'm glad you brought
That's
up
why I had
the female voice acting in this episode. So that's very good. Okay, so here we are, number 2. I love this guy's voice because I grew up with these films. One of the first times I saw these films, my dad took home an 8mm film from the public library. We used to watch Disney films, and one of my favorite ones that he brought home was actually Jungle Book back in the day. And from Jungle Book, you have Aristocats, and then you have Robin Hood. I'm talking about Phil Harris. my man Baloo, one of my favorite Disney characters of all time. Thomas O'Malley, the Alley Cat, one of my favorite characters of all time, and Little John, all the same character voice, Phil Harris. And he could have been, every one of those characters could have had their own slot, to be quite honest, because that voice to me is Disney. That is a Disney voice to me. And so I love it. There isn't a whole lot of other Disney voiceover actors that have voiced so many, iconic characters that people love. But like I said, between Baloo and Thomas O'Malley, Little John, you can't go wrong. Phil Harris is my man. Number 2.
Okay.
I am going to go with James Woods as Hades. That guy just in general comes across as an ass. So to have him voice a villain was just perfect. And that was just the right villain for him to voice too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You forgot that it was James Woods when he was doing it, even though the whole time, I mean, you're hearing his voice. It's not like he's altered it and he's trying to sound like somebody different. But somehow you just bought him as Hades.
Yes. And he very, very nearly made my list. He was like one of the last ones that I cut out. So
that's a good one.
My number 2, it's another female voice and another villain voice. But I'm going back a little bit earlier than Little Mermaid. I'm going back to Betty Lou Gerson as Cruella de Vil.
Nice.
Oh.
She is almost like Mark Hamill's Joker in that she's not quite, she's, I would say she's got a screw loose, but I don't think she has quite one nut fully tightened. But she's just got like that insane, psychotic, it's kind of like
Ozzy Osbourne. She's liable to go off the rails at any moment.
Yes.
She's very, very particular, but yet, she has this really, like something could set her off at any moment. And that's how I feel about Ozzy, to be quite honest.
Yes, she's a very
but
short
he
fuse.
mumbles. He mumbles when he does that.
He does mumble. Sharon. Bubbles. I'm the king of darkness, and you're sending me bubbles.
I don't know what crazy train you've been riding, but I've been the Prince of Darkness since 1979. But no, she's one of my favorite villains just because she's, in her mind, she's not evil. Okay? She wants what she wants. And woe be unto anyone who gets in her way.
What a great voice.
Yes.
And that green smoke helps too, I think.
Yes. And she just had an energy to it.
Yeah.
That just.
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
Jeff.
We're rounding out the back end.
Nobody put him in yet, and I put him high.
Mm-hmm.
Probably nobody can ad-lib a line and create a line when there is no line better than Robin Williams. I'm sorry. The man was beyond a genius. Beyond a genius. And yes, what he did in Aladdin was...
Sorry, a little late on that.
It was amazing, but also what he did with Timekeeper,
yes,
over in Tomorrowland,
yes,
was also. It's not often that you get an audio animatronic like the Timekeeper, to keep you entertained even before the attraction actually even starts. As he would interact with the guests, telling them what to do, what not to do, stand here, don't stand there, this is broke, this is fixed type. And a lot of it, it comes off the top of his head. It's not even written down on a piece of paper. The man just thought of it, and it came out, and it was perfect. Perfect. So, hat is off to Robin Williams as...
And let's not forget Back to Neverland.
Oh, man. How could you forget? Man,
yeah.
So good. Look it up, kids, on the old YouTubes.
I would have been even happy if Disney had gotten a hold of the movie Hook when he played Peter Pan.
Yes.
Because
Yep. That's,
he just had that neck.
well, to me, you're right.
About him. So.
That is for me, the spiritual successor of the original Peter Pan in so many ways.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. So that was your number 4. Wow, that was high, and I was waiting for someone
number
to say
2,
or number 2 rather.
Yeah.
So
what's your number 1, Aljon?
Well, it would be Robin Williams. Ding ding. I had thought that some of you, and narrowing down just 5 is just so hard.
Yes.
I remember talking before we rolled. Kristen said, "Oh, I can name 10 off my list." And yeah, I think we could. I mean, look, we could go under honorable mention here in a little bit, because there are so many, including the man himself, Walt Disney. You could put him in that list as well, for providing, for where it all started with a mouse. But when I look at the Genie in particular, and Robin Williams, and of course all the other things that you said, Jeff and Eric, and you all had mentioned about Robin Williams, man, oh man, that is pop culture. That is a great voice. That is a perfect voice for a perfect character, a great character, and I can't. And I would even say this if we hadn't lost Robin Williams several years ago. I feel that, I feel that way. He is a Disney legend for a reason. And we're talking about casting, not necessarily our favorite voices, not necessarily our favorite characters, but just the casting decision of Robin Williams was divine, absolutely divine. When you think of everything falling into place, I think we can all agree that the casting decision to bring Robin Williams to Aladdin as the voice of the genie of the lamp was just awesome. Enough said.
Yeah.
Boom.
Mic drop.
That's what Sully said.
Can I go with the entire cast of Beauty and the Beast? Am I allowed to do that?
Why not?
What's a good casting decision?
Why not do it?
Honestly, the entire casting for all of those was so perfect. I mean, Jerry Orbach, as Lumiere, you couldn't tell it was Jerry Orbach. I mean, he spoke with the French accent the entire movie. You have Paige O'Hare, who just perfectly pulled off Belle and her sweetness, but also how intelligent of a character she was. And she is really the first Disney princess you have that was strong and independent and did not need anyone. Because if she did, she would have chosen Gaston. And, I mean, it's just perfect casting for the voice for that. Gaston definitely sounds like a guy who would be attractive. His voice just fits that good-looking villain. And then,
Richard White, by the way.
That very deep, dark sounding voice. And I mean, it was just everything. Everything was just so perfect with the casting of that. I don't think they could have done a better job. There was nothing. You don't ever, when you're watching that movie, think of whoever's doing the voice. You're never drawn away from the movie at all. And that is something to me that I think is very hard to find in Disney movies. Often you get distracted by an actor's voice. It's to you, it's just so much that. Like when I watch Hunchback of Notre Dame and you've got Demi Moore, all I could hear was Demi Moore. And
Right.
it takes you away from that movie. And this was done so well with all of the characters. Never once are you pulled out of the character and paying attention to, well, it's this actor's voice.
You know what, Kristen, you bring up a great point, because I felt the same way about Demi Moore as well, but I didn't feel that way about Aladdin at all with Robin Williams or with Affleck. You know, I mean, I'm looking around and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I don't. They're not out of place, sound voice wise to me. Did you guys ever feel that way about a casting decision in a film or TV show about a voice that it just took you out?
Occasionally, but not. I don't know.
Or was distracting?
Yeah, it kind of distracted, kind of like made you wonder, why did you put that person's voice in there?
Mm.
But
I think a lot of modern day animation does that, especially like you look at, you know, a show like The Smurfs, a movie like The Smurfs, or something like, oh gosh, even Trolls to an extent, which is brand new. I look at, there was another animated film that came out recently.
There's one that immediately comes to my mind, and this is probably why I don't like this character, but I like the actress that voices it. But the entire time, all I hear is Joan Cusack as Jessie.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of Jessie, and I think it's because all I hear is Joan Cusack. I don't hear Jessie.
Interesting.
all right. Well, my number one is a guy who he was already very well known before he started voicing for Disney. TV Guide called him the Charlie Chaplin of television. He had his own comedy variety show, both on radio and on television. And for the television, he actually won a couple of primetime Emmys. He was in a Jules Verne movie, for instance. But you know him mainly in Disney circles. You know him as the voice of the uber rich Scrooge McDuck. I'm talking about Alan Young.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
You can't and see, I have on vinyl a track with Scrooge voiced by somebody else. I think Alan Young's first gig as Scrooge was in Mickey's Christmas Carol, and the guy sounded more like Flintheart Glomgold in DuckTales. It didn't have that warmth. It was very cold, he was definitely very Scottish, but very gruff, very cold. Alan Young Scrooge injected some warmth that was underneath the cold, hard businessman. And I think that was what endeared him as a character, because quite frankly, he's not very likable by and large.
The character, not the voice actor.
The character. But it's Alan Young's voice that brings it in there and makes you feel a little bit better for him. And it's more believable when he starts warming up, becoming a better person because of Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby, and Mrs. Beakley, and all that.
Yeah. Hard to believe he passed away this May 19th,
Yes.
2016. He lived to be 96. What a long story career.
That's a good life.
That is a good life, this guy.
Wow.
Mm-mm-mm.
No kidding.
Well, that's why that film is a Christmas must-watch film every year. So, Alan Young, good call. All right,
Jeff, who's your number one?
You guys might be surprised by number one. Not only did she literally make my skin crawl when she would speak in these two Disney movies, but it was amazing her likeliness that they put in the face of the characters, because she just looked the part in real life for everything. And she provided the voices for, gosh, in my opinion, two of Disney's nastiest female characters. She was Lady Tremaine in Cinderella, and she was also Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty, and that was Eleanor Audley.
Very good choice.
You talk about she didn't have to throw her voice in any type of way, shape, or form. All she did was she spoke, and she almost spoke softly at times. And when she would do it, your skin would literally crawl, and you would get that nasty little chill that goes all the way up your spine. The slightest of a word. And that is something you just don't teach.
No.
Me, I think that literally came for her so it just and again, she looked the part as well. If you look at a picture of her in real life, like a voice like that, because she looked like villainy in a way. She had this little bit of a scowl on her face in a way, and that came out in her voice and in so many different the way that she used it. So as great as Robin Williams is, as great as Walt Disney is, he voiced Mickey Mouse for what, 20 years? And got too busy. He couldn't do it anymore. He was a heavy smoker, so that affected it as well. He couldn't do Mickey anymore. But Eleanor Audley was...
Yes.
She was really something else. She really was.
That's a very, very good choice.
I know.
Yeah,
and she was Madame Leota, too, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct, yes.
I believe so.
Got our IMDb up in here, too, yes. Green Acres. She was in Green Acres, My Three Sons. By the way, yeah, if you're down with Green Acres, she played Eunice Douglas.
Yes.
So, Mrs. Vincent on My Three Sons. Pistols and Petticoats. She was Mrs. Teasley. She was in the Bob Hope Show. She was in tons of old school shows. Man from U.N.C.L.E. List goes on and on. Wagon Train, The Dick Van Dyke Show was Mrs. Billings. And, of course, all the great voices that Jeff had talked about. So, yeah, her resume is a long one, folks.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, star of stage and screen since, 1949?
Yeah.
So right before she played, I think, it's a year before she played Cinderella in 1950. Good Lord, man. Holy
She's
smokes.
no longer the voice of Madame Leota.
Yeah, no longer. That's her daughter, yes?
Susan Blakesley is who is the current voice of Madame Leota. Unless you want to talk about the movie, and it's Jennifer Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly.
There you go.
Well, let's not talk about Jennifer Tilly. She was in Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
She also has a very distinct voice.
Yes, she does.
Good. Yes, she does. Very good. I like
Only person with the voice more annoying than mine.
Jennifer Tilly. There's your Disney tie-in for you folks. I tell you what, a great top 5, gang. I think we covered so many iconic Disney legends, great voice acting from the stage and screen. I want to know what our audience thinks. Feel free to, once again, write us those comments below in this video as well as on the audio. I know that we have... Did you guys want to do any honorable mentions?
Yes.
Real quick?
Yes.
Okay, do your list of honorable mentions and we'll skedaddle. That way Jeff can pass
Okay,
out.
I have two. My first one is Kat Cressida. She is the voice of Constance Hatchaway, which is just my favorite character in that attraction. And she just sounds awesome and creepy as her. And then I have to mention Stephen Stanton, who is the voice of Mark Twain for the Mark Twain Riverboat out in Disneyland, as well as Tarkin. He does a perfect
Tarkin.
perfect voice, similar to.
Peter Cushing.
I'm trying to think of the original, guy who originally, Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing. Yes.
Yes.
Agreed. Eric.
All right. I only have one honorable mention. I could have like half a dozen, but
Yes.
that would. My one honorable mention is Hans Conried, the voice of Captain Hook.
Good one. I like it. Jeff, any honorable mentions for you, sir?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, that's a good one, Jeff. That was a good one.
Not bad.
Story.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I have two that come to mind. First being Wayne Alwine. He was probably the most notable voice of Mickey Mouse outside of Mr. Walt Disney himself. He voiced Mickey Mouse probably for 51 different films and animation shorts and things.
Yeah.
So I think he's also listed as either the third or fourth all-time voice actors and Behind the Voice Actors, which is a great website if you want to know more about voice actors, if you'd like to know more. The other one would be Ashley Eckstein from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I had to bring her up. The whole cast of the Clone Wars is great, including, as we've mentioned, Stephen Stanton, D. Bradley Baker, James Arnold Taylor.
I love D. Bradley Baker.
Stephen Stanton, as we mentioned, but the whole cast is great. But once again, even Sam Witwer. But once again, just Ashley, she brought Ahsoka to life, a character that no one really cared for in the very beginning and had much skepticism about, and helped bring that actor that character to life in a way where she is one of the most beloved characters in the Star Wars universe that has not been in a live action film. So
she's brought a lot of girls to Star Wars.
She brought a lot of girls to Star Wars, and I'm okay with that. Well, what a great show. I tell you, once again, leave us your comments, send us your emails. We'd love to read off your top 5 best casting decisions for voice actors and actresses, and we'd love to hear from you. And once again, Jeff, where can people find you on the interwebs?
On Twitter at DW_60 and in the Sorcerer Radio Disney Fun Zone on Facebook and the DW60 Facebook page as well.
Looking forward to DW60 on Sorcerer Radio this Thursday. Wonder if another rant is brewing somewhere behind behind the microphone. Eric, where can people find you?
On Twitter, you can find me at Uncle Servo and also at Sorcom Review. You can also catch the Sorcom Review's Facebook page, and also hit me up in the Sorcerer Radio Disney Fun Zone as well.
Kristen.
You can find me at diningatdisney.com on iTunes, Stitcher, and you can find the Dining at Disney podcast with myself and Big Bubba B, of course. And then on social media, it's Dining at Disney, except for YouTube, where it's the Dining at Disney.
Outstanding.
And when I come back in 2 weeks, we can go over my list for the Eat to the Beat concert.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. We totally
didn't
forgot
discuss
about
that.
You didn't butt in.
I still wanted to hear your. I still wanted to hear your news from your trip on the.
About Stitch.
Yeah.
About what the Stitch cast member says is going to be Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh no! Yeah. See. Okay, that's fine. That cat's out of the bag. That's
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It
Ralph.
We knew it was coming.
You can follow me at JediMouseketeer.com. All my social media is there. Also, Kristen and I host WDW Teak Room, putting together the Doctor Strange special. Doctor Strange is happening here, and we were able to get audio and video from the red carpet. So please feel free to tune in to WDW Teak Room on Source Radios Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. For the encore edition every Friday, and on demand at wdwteakroom.com. And so thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, our social media is WDW After Dark on Twitter, WDW After Dark webcast on Facebook. Don't forget, it's Better After Dark, and we'll see you next time. Adios.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Adios.
Aloha.